Hello and welcome to the Publicly Challenged Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Oswald, and I hope you join me on my quest for knowledge to become a better public land hunter, angler, and forager. Stick with this and who knows, maybe we will learn something together. All right, real quick before we get started on the show, I'm just going to talk about Treeline Academy. You've heard me say it. I can't even tell you how many times. Mark Livesey is treelineacademy.net. That's treelineacademy.net. Sign up. Use the promo code PC2020. Save yourself $20. Can't say it enough. It's awesome, amazing, most comprehensive e-scouting course out there. Check it out for yourself. Sign up. Use promo code PC2020. And now let's get to the show. All right, so I'm sitting here and I have got Ed Gramza on. So Ed, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So Ed Gramza. I am the Director of Business Development for Basemap. Live in East Central Wisconsin with my wife and two kids. Obviously do a lot of hunting, here in Wisconsin, do some hunting out west. This is definitely my favorite time of year. I'm glad fall is finally here. After the crazy world we live in, I think we can agree that now we're back in a little bit of normal because we can hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad it didn't get canceled like my turkey season, which I'm still bitter about. I don't care if they gave me a refund or not. I'm still angry.
I had two hunts canceled this spring. I had a bear hunt in Idaho get canceled, and I was supposed to go to South Dakota to shoot prairie dogs for a couple of days, and that got canceled.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. I don't know how people can live like this.
I don't either.
So Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of, how you got started hunting and how you got into the outdoor world as far as, the industry and everything as well.
Yeah. So, I'll actually be 43 here in a couple of weeks. I've been hunting since I've been 12. My dad and my uncles and my grandpa hunted when I was a kid, and kind of got into it and went with them a couple times, deer hunting in Wisconsin. I thought, man, this is cool. This is what I want to do. And I couldn't wait till I turned 12 and I could take hunter safety and actually do it. So I've been doing it ever since then, mostly Wisconsin, but I go out west about every other year right now, or every year to chase something out there. As far as being in the outdoor industry, I used to work in management at Cabela's and Bass Pro. And when I got out of that, I thought, well, how the heck can I stay in the industry kind of? I remembered having big sales and having sales reps from manufacturers come and help with these sales. I mean, I could do that. Started reaching out to companies and thought, well, how can I get my foot in the door? Actually started off doing some writing for a website. Some blogs and gear reviews and stuff, and actually got a couple replies from the random emails I'd send out to companies, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Now, so I obviously work full time in the industry. I've got kind of a side gig too. I work for Zeiss Sports Optics. I run their ambassador team, and represent a bunch of other brands in the industry. But it's been a year now since I started full time with Basemap. It's kind of cool working in the industry full time.
That's awesome. Yeah. I wouldn't say I work in the industry full time. This is definitely my side gig, but I enjoy it. The amount of people I get to talk to and just getting to know them and the stories and everything that comes along with it is amazing, and truly grateful for that. And it's pretty cool that you're on here because I've got some questions too. But before we get to that, I want to talk hunting first. So you've had a pretty interesting season. I've kind of been following you for a little bit here and just kind of seeing some things. And first, I mean, man, you getting ready to go for an elk hunt before you did that. I just recently went on my first fly fishing adventure.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but probably going to be on a pro staff pretty soon. I went out once, so
that sounds about right.
Caught a few smallmouth on, and even a gar. So now I'm kind of like, all right, this is cool, but I'm definitely hooked into it, and I want to get more into it. And I saw you were packing up and going on a fly fishing trip somewhere first, huh?
Oh man, yeah. So I was just in Wyoming a couple weeks ago. Went out there to hunt elk and mule deer, and I had an extra day of time out there. And this was my third time hunting out there, and usually I go for a killer hike in Grand Teton National Park just to make sure I'm ready, go chase elk. Well, I went out on this hunt by myself this year and didn't really want to go on the hike by myself, so I booked a fly fishing trip on the Snake River through Grand Teton National Park. Ended up catching about 3 dozen cutthroat trout on the float trip during the day. So it was definitely a great way to start off the trip in Wyoming.
That's pretty awesome. So how does
It was awesome.
how does a Midwesterner? I mean, because I would have never thought I would ever get into fly fishing either. It's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, that's like a Western thing, or
Uh-huh.
it's just it's something nostalgic. You see it in a movie or something, and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. We don't do that where I live. And then as it comes about, I saw some guys. It was during the birth of one of my children. I was in the hospital, and the hospital is right on the river, and it's got the birthing suites look onto the river, and it's early morning. My wife's over in labor pains, no epidural, and she's laying there grunting and screaming. And I go, honey, look, there's a drift boat. There's guys fly fishing. And from that moment, I was like, I kind of want to do that. So it's always stuck in my head, and that's like what got me into it. And I'm kind of curious, like, how did you come to it?
You know what? The first time I ever fly fished was in Montana on the Bitterroot River in like south of Missoula. So everything being fair here, I used to work for our competitor. Okay. And I was out there for a business. I was out there for a business trip, and we had some free time. And one of the employees for Onyx was a full-time guide. So went out with her with one of the guys from Onyx and did a float, down the Bitterroot and fly fish for the first time. Never picked up a fly rod in my life. Ended up catching a couple nice rainbow trout, and I was kind of hooked from there.
That's
And
pretty
then
cool.
last year, my wife it was on her bucket list to learn how to fly fish. And so for Christmas, I bought her a fly rod, got her some lessons, and we actually went out to Missoula and fished for a couple days. So she got that out of her system. She liked it. But I've done it a couple times and caught plenty of fish. But this, like I said, this trip in Wyoming was epic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, eventually maybe I'd like to do it out west, but I'm having so much fun right now here just on the local rivers and catching smallies that it's a fun time. I never thought of it. And you see a few when you're out there fishing or whatever, but I mean, we're both Midwest boys, so it's kind of weird to pick up the whole fly thing. And, I mean, I'm a spinning rod kind of guy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, here in Wisconsin, my fish of choice is definitely muskie. So it's a little bit different going from gigantic baits to little tiny flies and having finesse. It's definitely different, but I like it. It's relaxing.
Absolutely. So then you went out there, you fly fished, had a great time. And then what happened next?
Well, then I went to elk camp. And man, I had a heck of a time. So now I did hunt with an outfitter. He's a buddy of mine. This is the third time I've hunted with him out there. Main reason I hunted with an outfitter is because I was hunting in the wilderness of Wyoming, and Wyoming requires that if you're in the wilderness, you have to have an outfitter or a guide or hunt with a local. So, that doesn't mean I didn't work my butt off, though. That's just because you're hunting with a guy doesn't mean you don't work your butt off. Because as you said, like I was getting ready for that elk hunt for months. So first day of the hunt, that morning, I think I chased 10 different elk. I mean, as soon as the sun came up, there's at least 10 different bulls bugling on this one hill. And I almost killed a really nice 5-point bull a half hour after the sun came up. I was at full draw, and he just didn't want to take 2 more steps and give me a shot. And then shortly after that, we had a run in with a grizzly bear.
That's
we woke a grizzly bear up, and he was kind of PO'd to the point where he was growling and chomping his teeth and stood up on his hind legs. And Dan, my outfitter, and I, we both had guns and bear spray drawn, ready for a fight, because he was only like 25 yards away, a little too close for comfort.
So did you carry both then? You carried both bear spray and the pistol?
Yeah. Because you got to remember, shooting a grizzly bear is a federal offense. It better have a face full of bear spray before you fill it with lead, or else you got a lot of questions to answer.
Man, I don't know if I do both. Just from my whole thing is I'm always trying to just make it easier on myself and cut the weight. I don't,
Well, I should have made a deal with Dan and said, okay, you fire the bear spray, I'll fire the gun, and we'll do it at the same time.
Yeah.
But no, we literally, I had the gun in my right hand and the bear spray in my left hand, and we were ready. But yeah, we chased elk all day, all morning. They shut up real quick. It was super hot out. Didn't see anything Monday afternoon, or the first afternoon, which was Sunday. Monday morning, went to the same place, had another bear encounter, like immediately. Again, bear spray and guns drawn. This bear came walking right up to us at like 20 yards, and not a good way to start off the morning. Chased about a 350-inch bull for 4 hours, and he just kept pushing his cows, and we just couldn't get to him. But that night I did end up shooting a bull. Not a big one, but it's hard to pass up meat at 10 yards away with a bow.
Absolutely. And that's, man, I didn't even, on my first elk hunt, I never even saw a bull.
Really?
So never even got an opportunity. That was rifle season, third season or something, Colorado. I mean, it was seriously tough. And I didn't know as much, I mean, I kind of just looked at maps and did some certain things, didn't really understand how to e-scout, didn't really pick an area. I didn't really even download maps for my Onyx. Didn't have Basemap then.
Yeah.
So yeah, needless to say, I had to stop at a Starbucks and get a cup of coffee and figure out how to download maps and pre-download maps. And yeah, it was interesting. Nice. Definitely a learning curve, but it's those kind of experiences, I think, that mold you into a better person and help you improve yourself as far as the drive for wanting to learn, because you learn all the mistakes that way.
Right.
Yeah.
But, so like I said, I couldn't pass up meat at 10 yards. And, there was another hunter in camp who had not seen an elk yet. And it seemed like the bugling was starting to shut off a little bit, just because it was so warm. I don't think the rut had really kicked in yet. So 10 yards, put it in him, tracked him for a little bit, lost blood, and it was starting to get dark. I'm like, let's just get out of here, because we already had enough run-ins with bears. Let's just come back in the morning. So it was kind of a sleepless night, and, we grabbed an extra guy and went in the morning. We all had rifles, bear spray, and pistols, because we thought for sure we were going to come up on this elk and find a bear on it. It's not like we were going to shoot a grizzly bear, but it was for our own protection.
Right.
Found where the last blood was, and he ended up being 20 yards away, 30 yards away from where we stopped looking the night before. Found him, wasn't touched. We got him out of there in record time. So we had two guys cutting the elk and one guy with a head on a swivel looking for a bear coming in. So got him to town to the processor, and then the next day went up, it's like 10,500 feet up to big mule deer country, and ended up shooting a really nice mule deer at 440 yards that morning.
Nice.
So 2 mornings in a row, or 2 days in a row, I ended up notching tags. It was kind of nice.
Can't beat that. So
no.
So you did that, and then has your whitetail season started yet?
Whitetail started when I was out in Wyoming, but yeah, I'm definitely a believer in the October lull. So I don't this time of year I don't really sit in a tree stand. Every time I've gone out this time of year and sat in a tree, I just sit in a tree and see nothing. A couple more weeks.
That's how I know you're hunting private land in Wisconsin.
Yeah, a couple more weeks. I mean, I've got some cell cams out on our property, so I get pictures every morning, and we've got some big bucks on camera, but they're all night photos. I mean, a lot of bucks, but they're all night photos. So
you're waiting until like second week of November.
Area. Oh no, first week of November. I'm headed out there. I'm headed out there the day after the election. I'm going to spend 5 days out there. And,
time to regenerate.
Yes, I'll self-medicate that night before and go to camp Wednesday.
Solve all the world's problems from a tree stand.
Pretty much. So yeah, I'm excited to get out to deer camp here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I've been hunting. I wouldn't say pretty hard, because I've only been out twice, but had an opportunity on a doe, and I rushed my shot sequence, and it turned out pretty bad, and And then on top of that, I mean, we trailed there for maybe 100 yards, and then there was no more blood. So we backed out anyway because we figured it out. It was just too bad of a shot. There wasn't enough blood. And then got some lunch, came back, and it started to downpour. So it was just, did a grid search for a while after, gave it a few more hours and did a grid search, just seeing if we could even kick her up or anything. And she was not even in the area. So it was not a good start to my season. So I'm kind of really feeling the 2020 curse right now, man. It's not doing so hot.
It's early. It's early. You got a lot of season left.
I'm hoping there's some serious redemption. I don't know. We'll see.
Do you hunt near where you live, or do you have to travel somewhere?
I travel. I mean, I live on a small little chunk of property, but I don't actually deer hunt it. I like just watching those ones grow up.
Okay.
Those are, I hunt pretty much all public ground in the area. I don't really travel too far because of the children. I don't want to burden my wife too much until they get a little bit older, and then hopefully maybe I can take them with me or something even.
Right.
But yeah, we, me and a couple buddies, we travel around and just hit the public dirt within, 2-3 hours of here.
Okay.
So not too bad, but
no.
Yeah, it getting up at 3 a.m. to go deer hunting, I don't mind it. If it's work, it's a different story. So
yeah, I hear you. My wife gives me crap. When the alarm goes off in the morning for work, I don't want to get out of bed, but man, if I got to get up to go hunting, I get up before the alarm even goes off.
Yeah, normally I don't sleep.
How do you do that?
Yeah, it was a rough day. It was a rough day that day, though.
Yeah,
I didn't get much sleep. I couldn't sleep. Same thing, I mean, it's the day before opener. I didn't get to bed until probably, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something. And then even those couple hours that I had in bed, I didn't sleep. I was just laying there tossing and turning.
Yeah. I definitely had that experience in Wyoming on, the night before opening day. It was like, it was a long day. It was a long day for sure.
Bet you slept good that night though. The next night.
I did, because I felt like I was on a death march for, climbing the mountains of Wyoming for the day. I was pooped.
I hear you. So let's talk a little bit about, actually, I want to know about that bear first. Is that a Wisconsin black bear?
Yeah. You see that?
Yeah.
So
nice.
So that's my trophy from last year. It took me 8 years to draw that tag. And on the third day of my bear, so let me preface this by saying, in Wisconsin, the average black bear that gets shot is 150 pounds because guys shoot the first bear they see, because it takes forever to get a tag. Well, I shot the first bear I saw. It was 440 pounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was humongous. I sat in it was the third day of the season, so it was early September. Okay. So it's long days still, the sun's up, for quite a long time. I sat in that tree stand all day because 2 days before that, every time I'd leave to go for lunch, bears would come into the bait. So I'm just sitting here all day. Well, this dang thing came in with about 10 minutes left of legal shooting light. So I literally sat in there all day.
Good.
And 14 yards away, I really wanted to shoot him with the bow. I had a bow and a gun with me, but it was getting too dark. I didn't feel comfortable shooting him with the bow. I couldn't see through the peep sight. Well,
yep.
14 yards with the rifle, he pretty much dropped right where he stood. He didn't go anywhere.
Perfect.
I wanted to get a rug made, okay, but he was so dang big, I would have needed a gigantic wall, so I ended up with the half mount.
Did you keep the rest of the hide though?
You
could have made a chair cover or something.
I should have. I mean, what I really regret is I didn't keep the back claws from him.
Yeah.
It was getting late at night, and I was just like, I just want this to be over. I've had enough for the day.
No, that's cool.
So first bear I've ever shot, and he was a monster. I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I mean, sitting in a tree stand over bait wasn't exactly, I don't know. It's not my type of hunting.
That's kind of what has always held me away from the idea of kind of doing or at least a black bear hunt around here.
Yeah.
I've always kind of thought in my head, out west, spot it, stalk it, shoot it with a bow, rifle, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I was supposed to go to Idaho and bear hunt, spot and stalk. That's more my thing. I mean, I'm happy as hell with the bear I shot, but sitting over bait. I mean, yeah, we sit in tree stands waiting for deer, but
Right.
we also don't have a big pile of freaking cookies sitting there either.
But I mean, I get the practice behind it, especially in Wisconsin where the timber's so thick and you wouldn't even be able to see them more than 20 yards anyway. They could walk right past you. I mean, it makes sense. I get it, and
Right.
it's a good management. If you listen to like Clay Newcomb or anybody, they always talk about management practices, and it's a great way to get those numbers.
Right.
But so let's talk about Basemap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we're here. So, I got a few questions first, and then I'll let you just kind of cover it. Or you know what? Better yet, how about you cover it a little bit, just generally what it is, how it works, all that kind of
Right.
stuff, and then I've got some additional questions.
Perfect. So Basemap is a mobile application similar to OnX, like I mentioned before. We have satellite imagery, topography, rivers, roads, trails, private landowner information, public land information, hunting boundaries. We have over 800 layers in the app. So similar to other apps out there, we're a little bit more competitively priced. We think we have a better feature set, with our 800 layers. For iOS devices, we have 3D mapping, which is kind of cool for out west. For you and I, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good, but out west, it's pretty cool. We're $30 a year for all 50 states, where our competitors $100 a year for all 50 states. So we're competitively priced. Mobile and desktop, so you can be at your computer and do a lot of e-scouting and mark up a map. It'll transfer over to your phone. Offline capabilities, like you're talking about having to download maps.
Yep.
We have the capability to save your maps from home, before you go out somewhere out west or wherever that doesn't have cell service. I mean, when I was in Wyoming, I lived offline for a year or for the week, with maps that I saved. Works on Apple and Android. Just a really cool thing. I mean, I used to work for the competitor, and I feel like we've, got a little bit better mousetrap.
So, I'm kind of curious because there's actually almost seems like you wanted to incorporate anglers into the app as well with some of the lake stuff. I haven't had a chance to play with it a whole lot yet. But I actually earlier in the year I was down on Lake Shelbyville and I didn't have good enough service to actually access the maps because I was trying to turn on those features and see some of the things that I couldn't do it. But can you kind of talk about that even?
Yeah, so we do have some fishing information in there. We've got 5,000 lakes that are mapped with contour lines throughout the country. I know that's not a lot. We're looking at expanding that. It's just being able to source that data, but we also have different base maps. Okay. That highlight water better. So if you're on a river or stream or just want to see a lake better. But yeah, we do have some lakes and bodies of water that have bathymetric data, basically contour lines.
So another question I've got for you on this one is, how the heck do I import my data points or all my waypoints from OnX into my Basemap?
That's super easy.
Is it?
Actually, oh yeah, we've actually got 2 videos on our YouTube page that show you how to do it. Literally, it takes less than a minute on a computer.
Okay, because I got to tell you, I'm still switching back and forth between the two.
Man.
And I'm going, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm in the wrong app.
Yeah.
I'll be walking through the woods trying to find a tree that I marked previously. And I'm like, wait, this isn't it. Oh, no. Where am I at?
So to walk you through it, I mean, you just log in to OnX online and you export a file, because there's a button to export. It's a .kml file.
Right.
You export that, and then you log into Basemap online and you import it. It literally takes a minute. And everything that you have marked on OnX, it doesn't have to be OnX. It could be any, HuntStand, HuntWise, Gaia, any of the other maps or mobile apps out there. Import it, and everything transfers over.
Does it transfer over as what you have it marked as?
Not the same icon, because our icons are different, but whatever you have it labeled as, yeah.
Okay. I don't label them. That's my problem. I only use the little picture, so I'm gonna have a whole bunch of dots on a screen.
Yeah, it'll default to our just our basic,
green dot.
Our green marker icon.
I'm gonna have to go through them all first and label them as what they are, because I've got rubs, scrapes, beds, all kinds of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. we definitely make it easy to, to transfer over from, another app, or even if you have both and want to compare them, we make it easy to do it. And I shouldn't say this, but I mean, it works the opposite way. Anything that, if you have both apps, anything on Basemap, you can do to the competition too. It's just an export and import of a file.
Right. So, my next question with that would be kind of like, it seems like I haven't really gotten into it more yet, but it seems like it's kind of more detailed and geared towards like whitetail hunting, as far as like there's more features for it. It seems like.
Well, so, one thing that differentiates us from the competition is our satellite imagery. Our competitor doesn't use a super high resolution satellite imagery. We actually use Google imagery. Well, there's different satellite options, but
Right.
our high res is basically Google Maps, okay, Google imagery, which is super high resolution. So you can see everything. The reason why you think, or see some advertising or features for whitetail is because I pushed for it. I mean, you and I can agree, because we're whitetail hunters. Whitetail is king. Okay.
Well,
I don't know how many times I've said that. And if you're out west listening to this podcast, I love elk hunting and mule deer hunting as much as the next guy, but whitetail is king. There's more whitetail hunters than any other demographic in the hunting world.
that there is.
Okay. So, we thought, well, how do we grow? How do we appeal to the masses? And it's whitetail. Onyx doesn't focus on whitetail much. They market a little bit, but it's like, well, let's come out with some features or marketing geared towards the whitetail hunter. So just a month ago, we released an update and came out with something we called Hunt Wind. Okay, it's a wind check feature. On the screen, it's like an animated smoke and shows you which way the wind is blowing, basically which way your scent is going. And it shows you in real time. You can, in our pro membership, you can look up to 24 hours. And with that, whenever you drop a marker that's a tree stand or ground blind, you can set your ideal wind. So if you're sitting on a food plot or something and you don't want the wind blowing out, you set your wind that's blowing away from you. And now you can see for 7 days what days you should be in that stand.
That's what I was referring to, because I actually just did that the other day. I had a few trees marked out. I actually wrote down my GPS because I didn't know how to import them. I wrote down the GPS coordinates and dropped a pin in my.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, that was, we wanted, I'll be honest, we want to do more whitetail features. But we're a small company and we had some improvements to make to the app. And it's like, okay, if we're going to come out with one whitetail feature this year, what should it be? And we kind of agreed that it should be this wind, and tree stand feature, which is definitely, I mean, guys out west can use the wind check, but it's definitely geared more towards the whitetail hunter.
No, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. What else kind of features or things have you guys kind of put into it, or kind of thinking maybe in the future, if you could talk about that?
Oh boy, we've got a lot of stuff on the roadmap. As far as some whitetail specific stuff, some improvements. We're going to improve our offline map experience. It takes a long time to download maps. We're working on improving the download speed and how it all comes in. We just released an update to our weather center. So now we always had weather, but it just showed like an average temperature. The high and the low, it took the average. Now we actually show a 7-day forecast, hourly forecast, incorporated the tree stand feature, showing the wind. And actually, we just released an update yesterday that now we're going to cache or save automatically like 5 days of weather. So if you go offline or something, as soon as you connect somewhere, it's going to save 5 days of weather. So you can actually kind of use the wind, the hunt wind and see weather, if you're offline.
So could you add that to your notes then? Because you have the notes section on the, like for your, how you can click on that on your Basemap. Can you like save that to your notes or something to where?
No, it'll save it in the, in the background.
Okay.
It'll save it, kind of cache it to the device, but, so there's really nothing to do with that.
How long does it save it for?
until you connect again. It's always going to be a rolling 5 days.
Okay. So it can't be like, oh, I saw a bunch of deer on this day and paste it to your notes or something so you can watch the weather and the barometric pressure and stuff.
Oh, so it's funny that you bring that up because there's a feature that's we talk about it a little bit, but we are, when you drop a marker, okay, we call them smart markers. Anytime you drop a marker, it actually records that historic data, barometric pressure, wind, temperature, moon phase, blah, blah, blah. So if you're going to keep a log of if you're out scouting
yes.
and what was the weather like when
right.
I saw this deer, it saves all that. You don't have to do it.
That's awesome.
So when you open up that marker, and open it up to like edit it, it will show you all that stuff. We call it smart markers.
That's cool. That's really cool because that's one of the things that I've kind of been talking about, but I'm going to be honest, I'm just not that organized of a guy, but I really want to start doing field notes and taking notes and like keep a journal of all this stuff so I can look back and kind of find patterns and different things.
Well,
and I never do it. So
it just so happens in Basemap, there's a journal in the app.
I know. I haven't used it yet.
Oh man. Some people are hesitant to use it, but there's 3 levels of privacy. You can make it 100% private so that only you see it. There's a limited view, so anybody that you're friends with or follow on there can see the post, but they can't see the location.
Oh no.
I
didn't know that. Is everybody going to poach my spots?
or you can make it public and they see what your notes are, the image and the location where you entered it.
I do not want that.
Yeah, you can set it to private so only you can see it.
So what's the factory default? That's what I need to know right now.
Factory default is limited.
Okay.
So where I can see your post, but I can't see the location where it is.
Okay. I haven't posted anything in the journal.
Yeah.
So
you do an outdoor journal, like it creates a marker or waypoint.
Okay. I'm going to need to set that to private. I always wondered if companies, like, even when I'm finding mushrooms, and I used to mark them on X all the time. They got the mushroom marker and I'm marking it and I'm like, I wonder if anybody ever goes and poaches mushroom spots through your, what I mean? Like they're looking and going, oh man, that must be a hot mushroom spot.
Yeah, don't share that, because I'll be in there. What I will tell you is all of our developers and GIS people that work on the app and can probably see this stuff behind the scenes. None of them are hunters, so they're not going to steal they're not going to use your information for personal benefit.
Yeah, that would be bad. I always wondered about that. But so you talked about mushrooms. What kind of mushrooms you go after?
Morels.
Just morels?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't ever go after hens or anything? Hen of the woods?
Mm-mm.
Do you even know what they are?
Yeah, I've seen them. Yep. But
you don't like them. You don't want them.
Never had one.
See, that's the problem. I think you need to change that.
I'm a morel guy. I mean, that's like the benefit of one of the benefits is spring turkey hunting is you carry a bag and fill it with morels when you're not turkey hunting.
I'll tell you what, it can be a game changer though when you find a giant hen and you get skunked when you're deer hunting. It works both ways.
Okay.
And I got some recipes. I'll send you some recipes and
all right.
Good. It's good stuff.
See, and where I hunt in Southwest Wisconsin, another thing that's big out there that people look for on property is ginseng.
Yeah, that's a thing. I don't really get into that, but
I don't either. But man, like I should be looking for ginseng because you can make a boatload of money if you find that stuff.
I think here in Illinois, you got to get like a permit now to harvest. Yeah, to harvest ginseng, you have to get a permit.
Interesting.
And then I think you have to sell it to like a licensed ginseng dealer as well.
Oh, so then you don't make as much money.
Yeah, they've changed things on that. So, I mean, I guess for private consumption or something to be different if you're making your own little tinctures or whatever, but that's not,
Interesting.
Yeah. So tell me more about Basemap. Let's what else? I'm just curious because there's probably things that I haven't discovered yet. Is there any feature that's like an awesome feature that people probably don't know about?
How about live location sharing?
Yeah, I don't like those.
Well, but you get to set it, so like a cool thing for that, let's say that you had a lease with some buddies or family or even public land, you guys all hunt together. You can, if you share your location with your hunting buddies, you can at least see, okay, he's in that stand, I can't go over there, or this, he's over there. It's kind of a neat thing for whitetail guys if you are on a lease.
Yeah, that is cool, actually. Because my buddy in the dark set up like maybe 150 yards away from me the other day and didn't even realize it. I get down out of my tree and start walking, and I look over and I see him coming down, and I'm like, oh, I thought you were going over there. It was totally opposite direction. He goes, yeah, I kind of got turned around a little bit, and I figured looked like there was a lot of good sign here, so I set up. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a cool thing. You have to have cell service, for that to work. It doesn't, work. It obviously requires satellite, but it doesn't just use satellite. I mean, our big thing right now is our hunt wind. I mean, we're pushing that because it is whitetail season. We've got some celebrities that we have on board with Basemap.
I've seen that.
They're pushing it hard.
Big time celebrities. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's what I do. Okay. That's part of my job. But director of business development, that's a lot of fancy words for I know everybody in the hunting industry. So like Bone Collector, okay. Yep. Ralph and Vicky, North American Whitetail, Deer and Deer Hunting. Those are some of our whitetail folks that are helping us get the word out to us folks in the Midwest and East.
I'd hate to say it, Ed, but I don't actually follow any of those people.
Really?
Nope. I'm into more like the YouTubers, the hunting publics, the close proximity TVs.
How about, so probably the closest thing we'd have to that. Have you heard of Breaking Point TV?
No.
Oh man, like
No.
they're well, hunting public is on X. I mean, I think you're listening to on X guys here.
Well, you know what?
I went for the home runs. I mean, not that I don't want these people, the hunting public and guys like that.
Or like DIY Sportsman. Or he's an on Xer too, I think. Or Dan Infault even. Runs. I mean, yeah, native Wisconsinner.
Yeah, it may happen. Give me time.
What about Eberhart?
We were trying to go for a few home runs, but 2021 is just around the corner, and who knows what I'll have up my sleeve.
There you go. That's cool. So let's talk about the one of the other favorite features of mine, especially for the price point of what it is for a year. Okay. You're paying and you're playing the gear drop. That's awesome.
That's the other side of my job. So all the prizes and everything about gear drop, I set it up every week. I get the prizes every week. So if you hate gear drop or don't like it, don't send me any hate mail. If you love it, still don't send me mail. But I'm the guy behind that. It wasn't my brainchild, but it's part of my weekly job.
So I got to say, I'm a little disappointed. I think it's cool that it shows you where you're ranking now as far as like the slider scale, but I don't like the fact that once I set that pin, I can't go back and move it.
Well,
you guys changed it on me.
Well, if you wanna be able to move your pin, we got to take that out. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the trade-off. And I'll be honest with you, the last couple of weeks, God, I'm going to get killed for saying this. I mean, the last couple of weeks has been driving me nuts because there's been some people gaming it somehow. So we've been like figuring out how to make it so it's not so people can't cheat and stuff.
I don't know how you could cheat. I couldn't figure that out, but
I've been trying to figure out how they're doing it. It hasn't happened much. But we're trying to figure out. But yeah, people got pissed off when we put into percentage ranking. Well, I can't move my marker now. Well, yeah, you got to do the other task to unlock another guess.
Yeah, that's my one gripe. I like knowing that I'm like in the 70% range to 80% range. The one time I was like 94%, and I'm like, how the hell do I get to be 100? Like,
well, you want a lower number. So you want to be in the top 5%. Okay.
Wait, what?
So if you're looking at the percentage,
yes,
you want a lower number.
What?
If it says 95%, you're not even in the same county. You're like way off. You want a lower.
Okay, so the last one I did was like it was like 20%, and I'm like, I am a failure.
No, you did halfway decent. If you're,
I did not know that. So
yeah,
you might want to advertise that a little bit better.
Well, we have. It's like if you're in the 5%, it's green. If you're in like the lower percentage, it'll prompt you. Would you like to see the hints? Would you like to unlock another marker? We can't just come out and say you suck.
I think you need to do that. Be like, you're terrible. maybe go back and do a little more scouting.
No, we subtly say you suck, and you better.
I didn't catch on to that. And then I look at the hint. I always look at the hints first, and then I get angry because I'm like, when's this video gonna drop with the whatever, you know? When's Dennis gonna come on and talk about his pack and tell me more details about this wherever they are in Idaho?
Oh. You know, so we started doing the video hints on Fridays just as a kind of a way to get our users to interact with us a little bit more on social media and build our social media. And I like them. It's kind of spread out how people play, because as soon as Gear Drop launches on Wednesday, everybody's playing. It's like, why would you want to drop all your markers right away? Because now you just dropped them and there's one more hint coming.
I know. And then I wait, and then sometimes I even forget, Ed.
Well, and
that's why I like the hints, though. I like the hints coming back and saying, hey, you've got like 6 hours left before the final, the final countdown or whatever. So, yeah.
So you're in Central Time like me. The hints are always going to be around 12 o'clock Central Time, and you're only there for 24 hours on our Instagram and Facebook stories. Instagram and Facebook stories. It's not a post.
I know. I forget that too. And I go looking on your page and I'm like, what the heck? Where's this at? And then I got to click on the highlighted circle thing. Yep. I'm not that good with social media. I'm not a tech guy at all, which is kind of crazy because I'm doing a podcast, right?
Right. but it's been fun. I mean, we started Gear Drop. It's coming up on a year. End of October, it's going to be a year that we've had it. And I mean, we've had some really kick-ass prizes. I mean, some rifles. There's just a lot of cool gear, and we still got a lot of cool stuff planned for the rest of the year.
Yeah, the one thing you didn't have was a publicly challenged T-shirt on the Gear Drop for the Mountain Archery Fest. But other than that, they've been pretty awesome. So
yeah, you were doing the podcast with Brandon, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we were a sponsor of MAF, and he had people had to download Basemap to see the course, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is neat, though. I mean, how you guys actually mapped out the whole course and stuff, that had to be a little trying, but it's pretty neat.
He did it. Brandon.
Well, he dropped them, right? But I mean,
he had to make the layer. So he had to walk the course and drop the markers. We didn't do anything. He did it.
That's awesome.
It was all on him. Did you go to any of the events?
I didn't. I wanted to so bad. I just ended up not having time. And then
COVID messed that up.
Yep. I ended up burning up a lot of vacation days that I did not want to burn up. That really sucked.
As we were talking about going to some events. I wanted to go to one or two of them, and I just wasn't going to travel. My wife would have killed me.
See, mine didn't care about the travel. It wasn't any of that stuff that bothered her, but it was like, I only have X amount of days, and I needed to spend some of them with the family, and you gotta keep that responsibility first, family first, and then hunting. Even though that's hard for a lot of us,
right? Yeah, I mean, exactly. I wish I could be out hunting more, but I'll come back full circle to why I haven't been in a tree stand yet. I also spent a week and a half in Wyoming. If I didn't have a family, you bet your butt I'd be out in Southwest Wisconsin every weekend.
Absolutely.
But I have to I have to choose my days wisely.
Yeah, and plus I went out to the Western Hunting Summit that Lampers puts on out there in Bozeman. So that kind of ate up more of my vacation time. That I drove out there. Because of the whole flying thing, I was like, you know what? I'll just drive. I don't want to have to deal with any travel restrictions or anything. So I did that, and that added some time to my trip. So it was like, man, I knew I had to burn those days. But otherwise, man, next year, for sure. Maybe, hopefully, even comes out to the Midwest. I know there's some talk of that about the Mountain Archery Fest. So
I hope so. I mean, I think we're on board with work with him again next year. So it'd be nice to see something a little closer.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully. Although it won't be in Illinois. You don't have any mountains. Although we don't have much of Wisconsin.
Well, you got some over the Madison way, right? I mean,
north of there.
Yeah.
Rib Mountain and Wausau.
Yeah. So you got something. At least, whatever. We're not judging Illinois anyway. We don't need to talk about it. We know it's not that great. It's just okay. But it's got some good whitetail hunting, so we can't complain too much, right?
It does.
Yeah. But yeah. So are you You're still not considering the t-shirt. That's fine.
Next year when we're doing Gear Drop with Mountain Archery Fest,
Okay.
we will do some t-shirts.
Awesome. No, Ed, it's been cool talking to you. I've had fun, and it's good learning about it. And I'm sure I'll probably be reaching out to you with more questions as they arise as far as Basemap goes. But can you kind of just tell everybody where they can find you and your product or Basemap?
Yeah. So, basemap.com, use that to see more about the product, find out about it, buy it. If you've got an account, you can go to basemap.com and log in. That's how you kind of e-scout from the computer. For your mobile device, iTunes and Google Play, we do have a free or basic version, kind of limited, doesn't show you the public and private landowner information. And there's a lot of the layers and functions that are behind the paywall, but it is functional from a free standpoint. It's free to play Gear Drop.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
you got to make them. You got to make them pay for that because Gear Drop is cool.
Come on, our lawyers tell us that when I set up the Gear Drop, I have to make it equally. Everybody has to have the same ability to win, whether they pay for it or it's free. That is the hardest part.
That doesn't make sense. That's like, you look at. I'm just saying, look at Go Hunt. You can only win their drawings, their monthly prizes, if you're a Go Hunt member. I'm just saying. I don't like your lawyers.
I think our lawyers are in California. Sorry if you live in California.
Participation trophies. I get that.
Yes. So trust me, from my side of Gear Drop, it's so hard to try to make it equal for everybody.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I don't like that as much now. Here I thought I was buying the membership, and the membership was totally worth it just playing the Gear Drop. The Gear Drop alone, I was like, nah, yeah, my $35, no big deal.
You may have a slight advantage because it's hard to come up with hints and locations that are strictly free. You might have a little bit of an advantage sometimes with the pro membership. There might be one extra layer you need to have turned on to find it.
That's one thing that, man, there's so many layers. I have not even scratched the surface of them yet. I haven't even. I'll get there eventually, maybe.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
But social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram. Instagram, it's basemap_hunt_fish, and then Basemap Hunting and Fishing on Facebook. Awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on and talking to me.
You bet. Thanks, buddy. Let's do it again.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks.
And once again, thank you so much for listening to the Publicly Challenged podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please subscribe on whatever platform it is you're listening to. Also, if you could leave a review, that would help us out. And you can check us out on Instagram or at publiclychallenged.com. And once again, thank you so much for listening to the show.